Hey y'all, hey, how y'all is, how y'all be, how y'all are. I hope well. Y'all, I'm coming on real quick because I had a dream that I wanted to share and soundboard for entertainment, intrigue, and interpretation purposes only. Okay. And I may spill a little bit about what it may mean in the 3D or physical realm because I'm going to sit with this dream for a while. And by the time I actually publish this, it'll be long after today. Okay. And it's 7-Eleven. I love 7-Eleven. Hey, y'all. Hey. They had them all over in Asia when I was living in Asia. Hey, y'all. Hey. But what I came on to talk about is a very poignant day for me also, personally, spiritually, and many other realms on why this day is quite important, especially with the dream that I just had. It kind of ties all into it on a soul level and a spiritual realm level. So let me talk about the dream for a minute, and then I want to share a little bit of what snippets of the 3D and how that is played out, and me sitting with it, I may follow up with it. So anyway, so I was dreaming about me and this gentleman in the astral were intertwined at the hip downward, but we were from the waist up, we were separate entities or beings or whatever, but it was like we were in unison, if that makes sense. I may find an image that would maybe kind of tie into what I'm speaking about in the position that we were laying with each other, but it wasn't sexual. Okay, just that's the key thing. I want that to be understood. Anyway, what we were talking about is we were speaking in a way of he was wondering why he had waited so long to get with me or give me a chance, or why he listened to his friends, colleagues, or whatever on why he shouldn't get with me in the first place. And let me just preface it by saying magic before logic. I've heard someone say that very beautiful statement to hear and observe, and it resonates, and definitely I can relate. So their statement is magic before logic. And so I will go and add on and segue into saying magic before, during, and after logic. And that is the premise of how all existences happen, how all logic even happens. It comes from the source of magic. And magic is science. It is alchemy. It is the actual essence of creation itself. So without creation, you have no such thing as logic. You have no such thing as alchemy. You have no such thing as science. You have none of that, right? Okay. So in that spirit dream interaction and exchange and communication, I was letting him know, well, the reason why it's taking you so long to even connect with me in this realm, the non-physical, let alone in the physical, is because you chose logic and reasoning over magic and spiritual and creation, love, that energy there, and fear also. And so, but by the time we were intertwining with each other from the waist down, it was the sexual energy that was, or the essence of creation, I'll say it that way, the creative energy playing out through the sexual organs. But again, we weren't having sexual intercourse, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. But anyway, so I was saying, yeah, you chose logic over magic when you should have chosen magic. No matter how it looks in the earthly realm, you should have chose the magic before you chose the logic, or at all. So that's why it's taking him so long. And so then we followed up, and I went in my own particular vehicle, and he was going in his own particular vehicle. Somehow or another, we were separating because we were going to head back to the hotel room that we were staying in. And when we got back to the hotel room, I was initially going to check out the hotel, but something said, no, go back to the hotel room and extend your stay. So it's like, okay, I'll extend my stay. Checkout hasn't happened yet, and so hopefully they'll allow me to just stay. And so they're like, yeah, we'll let you stay, da 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 da. But I get back into the room, and that's where the so-called hotel hostess or maid or cleaning maid was there. And she was like Asian descent in the realm of the dream, she was Asian descent and supposedly like in her younger 20s, very young, right? Very petite stature, feigning that she had been sunburned and injured on her back. And she wanted me to help her heal her back and her injury. I'm like, interesting, but okay. And she was doing it in an anime moaning type of way. You know, the kind of way that they try to entice men to feel a certain way in their their men parts. Anyway, she was making those little sounds around who was supposed to be the man that was, you know, trying to pursue me and reconnect with me, right? To dissuade him away from me and draw attention to herself. And she had taken all her clothes off, but her back was only her back was revealed, where her sunburn had happened. And I noticed that she had diamond-shaped tattoos on her right shoulder in the back. And the way it was kind of like, let's see, there are certain tribes here on the continent that have parts of their skin and tattooing rituals involve having skin deformations, if I'll say impressions, I'll say it like that. So it's not a scar necessarily, but it's an imprint, a skin imprint, but it's not a scar and it's not a tattoo, but it shows, especially in the Western African cultures, that's very prominent. Anyway, she had a few of those dripping from the diamond tattoo on her upper right shoulder on her back. And she wanted me to apply a particular salve that I here on a 3D concoct and use on my own person. And it's very healing quality, something that I created over a decade ago and have given it, you know, sparingly to individuals to help them in their healing modalities. And they have, you know, reported to me wonders that it has created for their well-being on the physical and some spiritual elements also. But anyway, so she was wanting me to apply this salve, and I just so you know, I'll call the salve chicken soup, and I'll spell it when I'm able to market it out. You'll know it when you see it. But anyway, it's very good stuff, and I've used it all around the world. It's ingredients that I use when I travel abroad and locally in the U.S. But it's something that, again, I came up with over a decade, almost 15, actually 16 years ago, actually, yeah. So I was still living in Chicago. Speaking of which, this individual is from Chicago energetically, and if you go back to a recording I did about a month ago, I was speaking about how I had been seeing the word or hearing someone or meeting someone Chicago for about 30 days. I now know what that means, and I'll get into that in just a second. So I want to wrap up the dream here. So while I was applying the salve to her sunburn, air quotations, she didn't want me to touch her with my hand. She just wanted me to drizzle on her back, and it would ooze down her spinal column, the salve. And I know the significance of what that means. She didn't want my energy, because I would be able, so in the 3D here, I'll just say it like this. I used to I actually professionally practice massage therapy, and I know the power of touch. And so the power of touch is healing, as well as you can pick up information about an individual when you're just touching them. Even if you're just in their physical presence, you can touch and feel their energy. So the back is a very powerful space. It's like a motherboard of information about an individual. If you get physical access to their back, there's so much that can happen, circuitry wise, nervous system wise, all that stuff, energetically, everything. So I paid attention. She didn't want me to touch her back with my hands. She just wanted the essence of what I created to touch, so that she can pick up on that information as a information motherboard, I just said, that it represents the back, and be able to try to siphon that information and then try to market it and use it for her own profit and benefit. See? Yeah. Okay, so how that plays out in the 3D. I'll get into that now. Okay, so there's this person in the 3D, and I'm going to sit with this a little bit longer. Like I said, this won't be published for another while. Okay. So anyway, in the 3D, years and years ago, when I was still living in Chicago, I attended a ceremony for an individual who was, and I also noticed here in the 3D, I've been seeing a particular name, and I thought it meant just somebody that I knew, but it actually is imposing upon the individual, another individual with the same name. And that is the same energy that was in the dream, the manipulative young lady. And back in the day, that ceremony that I attended was a manipulative young lady around. Now, I was there as a guest, and I'm not giving out details because there are certain individuals who are listening who will be able to pick up on which event I'm talking about, and they'll be able to put two and two together, and they will get the proper equation. Because magic before logic, and me actually recording this is saying a lot within itself, because I'm dispelling and dispersing a particular blockage that has been imposed upon me and this male individual that I had the astral connection with. I didn't know until recently, and my nose is itching, I didn't know until recently that he and I were actually supposed to make a connection, because I did see in the 3D also in previous interactions or exchanges that we were around each other after the ceremony that I spoke about just this moment. He was like literally ogling me and watching me, and I couldn't understand and figure out why it was at that time. But it came to me not only just recently, because he actually may be watching and listening to this video also, so I'm not giving out too much information, but he is, interestingly enough, is something about me that piqued his interest in the way it drawed all of his attention, even from the young lady that he was in the ceremony with, that I went to years ago. Okay, so and as I understand it, I will say this, she in the 3D does practice massage therapy. I'll say it like that, and I'll leave it up. There's just little tidbits here, because if he's listening, he'll know that I'm actually addressing him here in the physical, and to confirm the astral connection that we made, so that we understand that magic before, during, and after logic will save us both in this incarnation and beyond. And it's a bigger thing that's happening. This is not just a romantic connection. This is so much bigger than that. This is a definite spiritual and cosmic family reuniting, sacred union happening, okay, unfolding. And so in order for that to happen, there are certain things that on my end I have to do, and there are certain things on his end he must do to make that balance happen, because it's been a manipulative siphoning imbalance that is happening, and it has caused us both a lot of earthly heartache and hardship, and there is some balancing that has to happen. And so me being able to do this in the way that I'm doing it is helping make that balance happen. Now, will it play out and rectify totally in this 3D, in this full incarnation or avatar? Remains to be seen. That's not the focus and or the point. My focus and point was to just deliver the message, and in the form of this dream, and express it in the way, because it reverberates all the way into the Chicagoland area. Okay, so that being said, I'm gonna go, and I hope that this was helpful, enlightening, entertaining, intriguing, and you all can just take this inspiration for your own personal development and see if you can break some curses cosmically and epigenetically, as I'm doing here now. All right, y'all, stay delicious. Peace.